JD here, and as you can see, we are back again on Abu Dhabi, and you can see by the title, this sadly seems to be a topic that we are probably going to be discussing on a regular basis, and that is with cheating again and again on the PC platform. Just to make you aware, on my previous video, a lot of people thought that was on PlayStation. I can confirm that was on PC. Sometimes if you have like a Logitech wheel or a Thrustmaster, it will show the buttons for the usual PlayStation or Xbox platform with the X and B and stuff like that. So it might look like it's on PlayStation, but it was actually on PC. But this one here has been a little bit more controversial, I'd say, because this driver in question, who you will see in a second, and again, like I said in my previous videos, please don't give abuse to this person or even contact them or anything at all, because on this one, it might not be quite as clear cut. And I think that's the sad thing now, is that anyone who just makes somewhat of an improvement are just going to be accused, and it sometimes can be so subtle that you can't be 100% convinced. So this is the world record by David Tinitza. This was done a couple of months ago. This was on time trial as well, and this app we're about to see here was also done on time trial. So this is by Troy Parker, aka SHZ Troy, and we're going to go into this turn one. Goes a little bit wide into here, also into the bottom corner. So I've watched this app quite a lot now, and to the naked eye, it doesn't look too bad. Like, the input's okay. Like, going to here, I think definitely gone a bit wide and a bit deep going to this corner. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes I saw, and the lap time was a 22.4, so 4 tenths away from a David Tinitza. But people are still saying that he was cheating, because in another PSGO race, I think this time in F4, I think he won the race by quite a big distance, had a quite a good time in qualifying. We can't actually see any of that footage because he hasn't actually got any on his channel. The only video he's got is actually this one. And I've been speaking to a few people who are aware of how the process works when it comes to hacking this game and cheating, and a lot of it is actually under braking, and people have been using this cheat exploit where you can actually change it by even something as little as 0.1%, which, you know, in the hands of an esports driver, just having an extra 0.1% grip is going to be no difference between last and first. But you can see, come across on here, it's 22.4, almost a 0.3. But now let's actually compare it with the telemetry of Tinitza on the bottom left. So as we go into this turn one, looking at the top speed, as we come into here now, Tinitza just got a much better run. So he was carrying that momentum all the way down. And as we come through into this corner, see, Tinitza is actually gaining here because he kept a tighter line and got on the throttle earlier. And coming through into here, no real differences right now. But as we come into the hairpin, let's see. So again, Tinitza carrying that momentum all the way through, but he actually breaks quite a bit earlier. So this is where I think Troy makes a bit of a mistake. So he actually goes in quite deep. And if you look at the speed during the corner, see, not so much of a difference, but Tinitza is actually carrying more speed because I think he's got the better line. You can see he's much more on the power. He's getting on the power much quicker. And you can see on the exit of the corner, this is being carried out. And Troy had a much wider line, but I think part of the issue is that although he's taken a much wider line and later on the throttle, his minimum speed is still actually quite close to what Tinitza's is. But I think actually this corner here is one of the most significant ones. So again, Tinitza, you can see at the end of the straight, Troy is actually going faster. So that suggests he's using a lower downforce setup. So he shouldn't be faster in the corners at all. But it's under the braking. Under the braking, although he's braking a bit later, he's under the braking, but he still makes the apex. That's kind of the issue I have a little bit of this. And you can see 10 kilometers an hour difference. If you get hit with a baseball at 10 kilometers an hour, it's going to hurt. I can promise you that. But he still makes the apex. And in the minimum speed, is still actually able to carry more wind speed. So under the braking, he is gaining quite a lot of time here. But this is where I think the skill set of an F1 esports driver such as Tanitsa comes into play. Gets on the power much earlier, gets that 100% much quicker. And you can see this is where he then does gain that time. And you can see on the exit, he's about 11 kilometers an hour faster than Troy. And I think that's purely down to Tanitsa and his ability on the throttle. But then coming through into here again, although he was 11 kilometers an hour slower coming off that corner, coming towards the end of the straight, he's actually faster. So again, suggests that he's running a little bit of a lower downforce. But then this is another bit of an issue I have. About 12 kilometers an hour faster coming into the corner. And then going throughout the entire corner, maintains the speed. But then again, with the driving of Tanitsa, just gets earlier on that power. And that's going to carry that momentum all the way on the exit of the corner. And you can see, yeah, I think this is just purely because Tanitsa has a bit of a better line. And he is, although slightly a bit further ahead on the lap. But then coming into here, about the same speed coming into this section. And Tanitsa is actually carrying more apex speed at this point in the corner. But then coming through here, this is again where I think the driving can actually make quite a big difference. So Tanitsa is early on the power. But then as we come into here, although Troy is actually behind, he's actually going faster into here. So the low speed grip again seems to be quite high. And you're about to see all the way through here. Yeah, matching about the same speed. So not a huge difference. But then he's still able to carry more speed despite being further behind on the lap. So a couple of kilometers an hour difference there. But then you can see, once again, with Tanitsa being able to get on that throttle earlier, just with the confidence he has, using a bit more of the track, this is where I think the driving can make a bit of the difference. And then coming through the rest of the lap, Tanitsa is already about 2 or 3 tenths up at this stage. And coming across the line, yeah, there's the difference. And no, for me, if we give it a bit of a watch again, it's not clear cut, and I'm not even saying that the guy is even doing it, but just watching a couple of corners such as the tail one here, the hairpin, and from the people I've been speaking to, which I will be doing a video on later in February, where there's a lot more facts on the table, it's mainly under braking where the time is gained. Because again, as I said in my previous video, a lot of people have told me behind the scenes that it's to do with the friction on the track. So drivers who are using this grip cheat exploit, whether that's to 0.1% or 1%, I think in some other cases, such as my last video, it was quite obvious, and those drivers have even admitted to actually doing it. This driver here, Troy, says he hasn't done it at all, and I'm not saying he is, but just in some corners, especially if you're losing or using a bit of a lower downforce setup, does the speed you're able to carry, and especially under the braking, that's where, yeah, I don't know, still having a higher top speed and then being faster in the corners against a driver such as David Tanitsa, that's where it could be quite difficult to explain. But again, I think what we need an anti-cheat system, and hopefully videos such as this and just the pressure from the community themselves can really start to put the pressure on Codemasters, because I think, especially just for the integrity and just the image of the F1 game, it is really not a good look when this is happening, and that's really going to put a lot of doubts in people's minds when it comes to F1 esports and just putting the time into the game. Because why would you put the time into the game when you don't know if someone else is doing it legitimately or not? But please give your thoughts. Again, keep it nice and respectful. I don't think anyone should really be accusing of anything until there's actually some hard evidence or anything at all, unless the driver admits it or something. But even if that's the case, then just let it be. But I think the bigger picture is that we really do need to put pressure on the developer Codemasters to really sort this out, because even just within the community of league racing, I think ever since esports has come in, I think although it's been great to see the growth of it, the toxicity and the competitiveness has sometimes not always increased in a good way, in my opinion. But it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll be catching you very, very soon. Peace.